It's good to be podding again, man. Lots happening in Vikings land. The GM and head coach search is underway. Mark Wilf said that the plan for the Vikings is to hire a GM first, which is the right thing to do. If anything, you can simultaneously do the head coaching interviews, in which case Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator of the Packers, is scheduled to interview with the Vikings later today. But if anything, hell, you can record the interviews and show them to the newly hired GM to get his or her inputs. Boom, you've optimized the two hirings. Today, we're going to talk about the 7 head coaching candidates on the Vikings list. We'll call them the Magnificent 7. Now, 2 disclaimers here. Number 1, my top 3 personal favorites of who I wish the Vikings would go after: Doug Peterson, Eric Bieniemy, Brian Daboll. None of those dudes made the Magnificent 7. And while I prefer an offensive-minded head coach, 4 of those 7 are defensive coordinators. With that said, I am going to keep an open mind here as we break this thing down. Starting with Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 2011, he served as the interim head coach after the firing of Tony Sparano, God rest his soul. He finished with a 2-1 record. From 2012 to 2014, he was a defensive coordinator between Philly and Arizona. And then from 2015 to 2018, head coach of the New York Jets. Started off hot with a 10-6 record. Not bad. After that, it went to hell. 5-11, 5-11, 4-12. Now, in Bowles' defense, it's the Jets. It's football purgatory. The problems in that organization extends well beyond the head coach. In fact, since the end of the Bowles era, the last 3 years for the Jets, 7-9, 2-14, 4-13. Now, during that same time frame, Bowles has been the defensive coordinator for the Bucs. Their defensive rankings, 15th, 5th, and 13th those 3 years. Before Bowles' arrival, the Bucs were 27th. In a better situation in Minnesota compared to New York, perhaps it could be a good fit. Certainly, I could see the Vikings defense getting right back on the map. He's been very effective defensively in this modern era of NFL football. You saw what his defense did against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' offensive line this past Super Bowl. My question to him, and quite frankly, every defensive coordinator interviewing for this job: who's the offensive coordinator that you're going to bring in? How involved are you going to be? Are you going to actually do a deep dive with your offense to make sure it's performing at its peak? Or are you just going to delegate everything to whoever the offensive coordinator is for that particular year? Because you have to expect the offensive coordinator to change every other year, because guess what? If they perform well, then that offensive coordinator, he's going to be interviewing for head coaching jobs elsewhere. Number 2 on the list, Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator of the Eagles. Former assistant defensive backs coach with the Vikings from 2014 to 2017. Former cornerbacks coach with the Indianapolis Colts from 2018 to 2020. 1 year so far as the Eagles defensive coordinator. Here's my hesitation. This dude is shooting up the ladder so fucking fast. 1 year as a coordinator and he's already interviewing for a head coaching gig. Now, the positive with a guy like Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles were top 10. They were specifically number 10 in the league in total defense, coaching up defensive backs. Last year in 2020, Darius Slay was awful. Gave up a 77% catch rate. The following year, this year, Jonathan Gannon, he shows up, and Darius Slay is one of the better cornerbacks in the league. Remember Xavier Rhodes? We couldn't get rid of him quick enough out of Minnesota, 2019, his last year. Well, in Indy 2020, Jonathan Gannon, a big part of reviving Xavier Rhodes' career. There are some good things to like about this guy, but I have my doubts. I feel like a situation, a job like this in Minnesota, give me at least 3 years as a coordinator, then we can talk. Number 3 on the list, DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator of the 49ers. Played in the league for 10 years as a linebacker between Houston and Philadelphia. Took over for Robert Saleh after he took the head coaching job with the New York Jets. Now, in 2020, under Saleh, the Niners had the 5th-ranked defense with a ton of injuries, by the way. This year, 2021, under DeMeco Ryans, the 49ers have the third-ranked defense. That's very impressive. However, I got to keep that same energy here as I did for Gannon. 1 year as a coordinator, I need to see more. Number 4 on the list, Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. To which I say, fuck no. Hell no. Are you kidding me? Man, shoot. First of all, the defense for the Cowboys is the literal definition of bend but don't break. 7th in scoring defense, at or below average in everything else. His last 3 years in Atlanta were a hot-ass mess. And I understand he went to the Super Bowl, but he blew a 25-point lead in that game. I'm super good on Dan Quinn. Number 5, going to offense now, Kevin O'Connell, offensive coordinator of the Rams. I find this guy very interesting. 3 years as an offensive coordinator between Washington and the LA Rams. In 2019 with Washington, he had the second worst offense with Case Keenum and Dwayne Haskins as his quarterback, so take that for what it's worth. The last 2 years in LA, the Rams have had the 11th and 9th ranked offense. Now, obviously, you got to take that with a grain of salt because head coach Sean McVay, he's the one that's calling the plays, but being exposed to McVay's teachings, seeing quarterbacks, the likes of Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, and still being successful, what could a guy like Kevin O'Connell do potentially with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins? Number 6, Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Seemingly the hot ticket candidate this offseason. He'll certainly get a head coaching job somewhere. 3 years served as offensive coordinator in Dallas. Their rankings during that time frame: first, 14th. Now, mind you, at 14, they had Dak Prescott for only 5 games. And this year, they're back to first place. That's incredible. And Dak Prescott, who I always thought was just an okay player before this year, he's taken a huge leap in his game. It makes all the sense when you consider the pieces in place with this team. It makes all the sense in the world for Minnesota to be the perfect fit for a guy like Kellen Moore. Here's my hesitation. He, to me, seems like a great play caller that's a bit subdued. An all-shucks guy. Now, I could be wrong about that, but watching Cowboys games, seeing him on the sideline, that's what I've seen from Kellen Moore. If that is who he is, an all-shucks guy, having a personality like that serve as a head coach, I feel like that's a lot. Number 7, Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator of the Packers. 8 years as an OC between Buffalo, Jacksonville, and Green Bay. He's been Matt LaFleur's OC in Green Bay the entire time. The last 2 years, the Packers have had a top 10 offense. Certainly it helps having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. Now, before that, Nathaniel Hackett, all but 1 year, has led a below-average offense. The 1 year in question, the 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars. Everyone thinks of the defense for that Jaguars team, rightfully so. They went to the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. But their offense that year, number 6 in the league, with Blake Bortles as his quarterback. That's badass. So, of these 7 candidates, if I'm forced to pick any that I like 4 of them in this particular order: Kellen Moore, Nathaniel Hackett, Kevin O'Connell, and Todd Bowles. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Who do you like? Who do you not like? Next video will be tomorrow. We'll see you then.